So Todd, you were talking a little bit about some of the workshop conversations that you're getting ready with coaches. Like what are some of the buckets that you're putting these important messages into?
So I've always presented about presenting developing your why, your purpose statement, and it's been meaningful to me. But when you talk about developing your why, it's kind of an intangible thing. It's like it's like develop your why, your purpose, and all. But our conversation that we just had in my mind, it made it a little more tangible, like why we develop our why, and and I talk about some things, how it affects your coaching, but your why also affects like you. Like it has the ability to show like when I'm in a cave, because not who I want to be. I'm not coaching in the way, I'm not leading in the way that I want to lead. And one of the things I'm going to talk about is I read my statement, my purpose statement once a week, once every 2 weeks, and I keep it in my front dash. And I think I've talked to you about that a little bit, Trey, before, but I have this like Google Slides on my phone, and I have these pages. First page is my why, and I have a bunch of purpose statements. And kind of what I talked about before, like there are voids. When I look back in my days as an AD, there were voids in my heart being in it. Just because you get beat up, it's leadership is hard. No one tells you that. There's a lot of glamour in, oh, you got this great position. Like, oh, I got this great position, because you're getting the crap beat out of you all the time,
Right.
all the time. And what I found is like that, my purpose statement, when I wrote that, full of heart, full of intention, that renewed me. Like it renewed me and reminded me why I keep showing up
Yeah.
and who I want to be. And like when we're in in those caves, it gives us that contrast. It gives us a clear contrast in a tangible way, that can call us, help lead us out of those caves. Because, there's no way you're not going to be put in a cave if you're in leadership long enough. You're going to find
Right.
yourself.
You're going to be there. Yeah.
You're going there.
Yeah. And Todd, that makes me think about, Arthur Brooks will talk about the two most important days of your life: the day you were born, and the day you figure out why. And sometimes I think people think about purpose or, this greatness. I use the term greatness, when it's about figuring out why we were born and what we were here for. It's not always to become president. It's not always to be the person that's going to discover a cure for cancer. It doesn't have to be the things that are going to put you in the history books or on the front page of the newspaper. Is that relevant anymore to say newspaper? I'm not sure, but there's still some electronic versions out there. But they're not the things that make you famous or even known sometimes. Sometimes our purpose is in the little things. Sometimes we were born to be an amazing parent. We were born to be an amazing member of a community. We were born to provide a safe place for, and then you put out, you fill in the blank with some of those things. So I think sometimes people think about their purpose statement, and it's about what you're supposed to accomplish. And it's not about what we do. It's about who we are becoming and what we're fulfilling.
And there's a piece of that I remember growing up with a deep thinking dad, believe it or not. And my dad talked about wanting to change the world and how, yeah, we may not change the global world, but man, when you impact one person, you change that person's world. When you speak hope and life into a person, that person's world just totally changed. It's like the Wizard of Oz, and finally the TV was in color. It changed for that person. Yeah, so
Thanks, Trent.
some things stick. Some things stick.
Yeah. So Todd, you talked about, actually you mentioned before we hit record on this, 3 buckets in that presentation, right? The why, and then what were the other 2 that you were framing?
We're going to talk about the caves and where we retreat to, and maybe identifying some of the caves that we have a tendency to retreat back into, because usually it's the same one. It's like, Trenton, you mentioned how Satan can get us to, he knows the quickest path for us. And he knows the cave that we fit best in, and he's going to fast track us there, as often as we possibly can. And so we tend to hear the same voices for our entire life. I can testify that we tend to get to the same places, same dialogue in our head. And so doing some work of identifying what is your cave? How do you respond when these things happen? And then how can we move ourselves out so that, and then so that then we can coach with our purpose statement and knowing ourselves, getting ourselves into a place, a posture where we can lead kids out of their own so that we can, and so that's what I'm envisioning.
Really, oh my gosh, a couple things that I think about, Todd. One is we free ourselves so that we can help other people free themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, the cave, there's this picture of, like, to me, of bondage even. Like, we are enslaved to our fear and we are held captive in those caves. And there's a part of this that we are freeing ourselves, but not just to be free. We're freeing ourselves so that we can help other people free themselves.
Yes. And have a different lens on the people that we are coaching or leading, because we have a tendency, not even a tendency, just a natural reaction to put judgment on, like, in coaching terms. Okay, that kid's being lazy. Why are you being so lazy? Come on. And just come at the characteristic that is being exhibited rather than coaching the kid where he's at. If we just come at it, we may drive him further into the cave, which is probably that's likely the case. We'll just drive him further back, and now it's going to be, there's no trust built. In fact, I can just be you get it. And so if we can see ourselves in what it does to us, then I can more clearly see that and with a curiosity, all these terms, they're just curiosity. They're not just words. They're like, then I can look with curiosity, like on a person, and say, man, are they dealing with a cave like I deal with sometimes? Man,
right.
I wonder if there's something I could do to help move them out and fight in the way, and just present yourself with an authentic heart.
Yeah. And Todd, gosh, and I think, Trent, you and I even had this conversation. I remember an athlete that I coached years ago. And when he was a sophomore in high school, we'd have said he is an immature, he's a baby. He is a quitter. And you think of these negative terms. He would lash out. He would be kicking or someone after a play or throwing a football at him when he was frustrated. And if he made a mistake, he'd just shut down and quit. Well, 2 years later, this kid is an all-state performer, leading us to the second state championship of his high school career, right? One of those players. And the behavior triggered a lot of judgment until the curiosity finally uncovered. This was a young man who just hadn't learned how to handle the frustration. It wasn't that he was a quitter. It was that he was so competitive, he didn't know what to do with the feelings and emotions in that. And I just think of it as, here's an example of, I judged him. I looked at the behaviors with judgment, and it took years for him to prove that he didn't deserve that judgment, because he was totally the opposite of what my judgment would have been for him in that time. Todd, another thing to kind of think about these caves too. The caves are, if we call them limiting beliefs, and I don't even like thinking about limiting beliefs. I do think about them, but the power of our beliefs to either limit or liberate us. And Todd, you said something about, like, it was the same cave. It was the same story. right? And it was that belief that you held in your brain, right? Our brains are these prediction machines where it wants to establish patterns of behavior so that it can predict what's happening next. So somewhere in there, something triggered this belief. When this happens, I believe this is going to happen. When this happens, I believe this is going to happen. And once those beliefs are ingrained in us, it takes a lot to change them. But so many of those beliefs will limit us because they're about the fear. They're about the belief of all the things that we can't do or won't do. It's a prediction of our failure. It's a prediction of how other people will judge us. It's a prediction of how other people will disappoint us, whatever that case may be. And then we start behaving based on these beliefs and we get so limited, we get trapped in that cave.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and you brought up an example, and as you were talking talking about beliefs, there's a young man that I'm coaching currently, and we're doing things, this summer we're having kids have an offensive position and a defensive position, which at your school, Trenton, a small school, that's normal, but at a large school, that's not necessarily normal. Everybody, once we get to the season, we're going to be pretty, regimented. Some kids will go that both ways, but we'll have starters. And so this kid, he's a junior now, and he's never played running back. So I'm the running backs coach. So, and this is a new thing that they're doing this year. So 2 days a week, he's with me, and we're installing a brand new offense. So there's a lot coming at kids right now. And I would see him work as a secondary, as a corner. And man, he's working hard, and, or he'll do a drill with me that's just illustrating athleticism, and he's working hard. But as soon as we do something else where, man, he's shying away, he's backing off, he's giving up, an attitude. And I had to catch myself, because instinctively I want to like lash out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my instinct. And so I had to catch myself. I'm like, wait, something else is going on here. And so I, had a one-on-one conversation with him, and we went through this session, and then I had a one-on-one conversation with him, like, hey, here's what's going on. I think that you're just not doing it because you don't feel confident, and you don't want to fail in front of us because you're an awesome corner and you don't want to fail in front of us. He goes, Coach, I don't know what I'm doing. How can I? I'm like, I know that. We all know that. We still want you to try anyways. We want you to fail. And let's just see how you handle it. And let's build some metal on how failure doesn't shift you when you're a great corner and bad times are going on. And just showing him the growth that can happen. I don't know. It was pretty cool. So now him and I see him trying to work through the frustration. It's so awesome seeing that growth in that area,
Yeah.
Well,
and what he's working through is the fear of public failure.
Yeah. That's right.
And as leaders of any team, but leaders of an athletic team, yeah, man, how many times do our athletes freeze because they don't want to fail publicly?
Yeah, it's hard. I don't want to either.
no kidding.
Yeah. Todd, what was the third bucket that you had mentioned?
The third one is then how can this become tangible, visible witness, stuff that we can witness, like your purpose statement? How could we see your purpose statement in your practice plan? How can we see it in your public address to the parents? How can we see it, everything you do? The terminology I use is, how can you leave the DNA of your purpose statement on everything that you touch? What would it look like for your to be DNA everywhere?
Yeah. The evidence of the manifestation of that identity that you hope for.
Right. It's not just a poster on the wall. It's not just something you proclaim the first day. The evidence of it. How are you, and so, just getting the nuts and bolts. It's not just stuff that we talk about. It's like stuff that you work, and it's hard. You got to work at it and be very intentional, or it doesn't happen, because things just happen so fast, so fast.
Yes, sir.
So is this going to be a plus
bonus?
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Great
All
to
right,
talk
guys.
to you guys.
See you guys. Love you guys.
Talk to
Love
you.
you. Love you.